Good morning, Mr. Sims. Sir, you're charged with reckless driving. You're facing up to 30 days in jail and or a $500 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, sir.
Yes, Judge. On January 24th, 2025, the officer responded to a minor accident at the 8700 block of Fairbanks North in Houston, Texas, Harris County, Texas. The officer made contact with the complainant, who stated he was driving his vehicle, was at an intersection, and the defendant was blowing his horn at him to turn, and the complainant could not make a right turn due to the truck being in front of him. The complainant stated once he did turn right on the Fairbanks, he began to drive north in the first lane of traffic, and the defendant drove in the second lane. The defendant began to weave in and out of the lane in an attempt to make the complainant collide with the defendant's vehicle. The complainant stated the defendant made an unsafe lane change, causing him to rear-end the defendant. The defendant began to drive north on Fairbanks Road, brake checked the complainant again, causing him to collide with the defendant's vehicle. The complainant stopped his vehicle, exited, and the defendant did the same, and both began to verbally argue. The defendant accused the complainant of rear-ending his vehicle, and the officer made contact with the defendant, who stated he was driving north when the complainant collided with his vehicle. The defendant stated he noticed the complainant's odd behavior in the rearview mirror when he was struck the second time and had to brake due to heavy traffic. The complainant told the officer that traffic was light, and a witness stated he observed the defendant's vehicle continuously weaving in and out of the complainant's lane while brake checking the complainant.
You said odd behavior.
And that's
kind of allegation of alcohol or dope?
No, Your Honor. And that was the statement the defendant made to the officer, that he observed the complainant have odd behavior.
Oh, I see.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Sims, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with the case. You were on bond for a very serious felony case of evading a motor vehicle, and now you've picked up a reckless driving. I'm taking away your privilege to drive. You are not allowed to drive. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
I don't give a rat's behind what is going on in this life. If I find that you drive, because I'm going to have you sign an affidavit with me today, I can have a contempt hearing. You can be facing an additional 6 months in jail and a $500 fine every time you drive. It's an offense in and of itself. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
I'm also ordering you as a condition of your bond not to consume alcohol or illegal drugs. I'm going to randomly test you. If I find that you consume alcohol and kind of illegal drugs, likewise, I will revoke your bond, put you in jail. How old, sir?
Fine. I'm turning 19 next month.
I will appoint you a lawyer today. I'm telling you now, if I find that you drive, and I don't, what the reason is, it's really not going to go well for you. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Do you mind reaching out to the max? I appoint him a lawyer, please. I'm going to have you come up here, swear test that you're not going to drive. I'm going to get you to Victoria Center, reset, then you'll get with Fatima for your bond conditions, and then I'll have you take a seat while we find you a lawyer.
How are you?
Pretty good. How's it? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. I'm here on behalf of Mr. Colby Sims. You just kind of talked to him about the reckless driving charge, and he's on a pretrial intervention or something for an evading arrest.
Oh, yeah, he's on the, no. He has an open felony evading in a motor vehicle, and now he's picked up a reckless driving where there was an accident. And
I'm not challenging the probable cause, Your Honor.
Okay.
Just the, you gave him no driving conditions. He goes to a special school. He has Asperger's. Parents work first shift. Dad has had to take off work all week, go in late to take him to school and then leave early to take them home. They live about 8 miles from the school. And we just want to know if you can modify.
no, it was, I mean, if you, the facts here, it's a alleged menace. I mean, the facts of this case are really bad. I mean, there was an accident because of the
Driving.
Just-
Your Honor, and I don't know everything about the case, but
Hold
listen,
on, come up, Mr. Sims. I'd like you to hear it so that you get
I saw the summary. I saw the summary. I know that there's a dash cam on his vehicle. And I believe the state is in, they have the SD card. But what it purports to show is that he wasn't weaving in and out of traffic. He was hit from the back, Your Honor.
When you told me the facts here, he hit the other person, or did he brake check and then he got?
And then he
got-
hit
Okay,
him, yes.
so you need to understand that you live in Houston. And when you get into these road rage incidents like this, people get shot and killed with events like this. And the reason I did this is because this is not the first contact that we have of a serious nature where other lives are in danger, but we now have also a felony evading arrest in a motor vehicle. And the last thing I want is another death on the road. I understand that you have obligations. I understand that, but the last thing I want is someone to get injured, you killed, or where you've dug yourself in such a hole that you're stuck like Chuck in custody because of some. I understand that you had stuff, but I don't want you in a car. You're a danger in a car. Now, it's not absolute. If I see after a while that you appreciate it and you show me that you have taken proactive measures, and I'll let your lawyer explain it to you. You know, nothing's ever set in stone, but you scare me in a car.
Your Honor, would I be allowed to come back at a later date to address
Yes, of course, counsel.
active?
Yes, absolutely. And you know, we do that all the time.
Okay.
But the idea is driving is a privilege. It is not a right. The right is you can walk, but not to drive. And I don't, every day, someone dies in Houston because of something in a car. And I'm going to try to prevent that at all costs. Okay. So whenever you're ready, come back, let me know, and then we can talk again about it.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Absolutely. Come up, man. Right up. You're Miss Tamika Smith?
Yes, sir.
Man, you're charged with, excuse me, terroristic threat. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. We are going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Judge. On January 24th, 2025, the officer was dispatched to a disturbance with a weapon call at an apartment complex in Harris County, Texas. The call slip advised a black female in a red wig possibly had a firearm. The officer observed the defendant matching the description, and the officer made contact with the complainant, who stated she lives in an apartment across from the defendant. The defendant and she had several verbal arguments in the past, and that morning they also had an argument. The defendant began yelling and screaming at the complainant from a parking lot in front of the apartment, and the defendant told the complainant, "I'm going to shoot you, bitch." And the complainant stated the defendant further made threats to shoot the home along with the kids inside after the complainant retreated inside the residence. The complainant was in fear for serious bodily injury or death, and the complainant provided security camera footage where a female voice was heard yelling, "I'll shoot your home and your kids too."
And I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case.
Yes, sir.
Ordering you not to have contact with this person.
Yes, sir.
I'm also ordering you not to have any possession of any weapons as well.
Yes, sir.
If I find that you violate these conditions, I only have one place. I'm going to revoke your bond.
Understood. Yes, sir.
Would you like a lawyer today, ma'am?
Yes, please.
Here, I'm going to have you sign a receipt, Victoria. We'll have you take your seat in the jury box. Do not leave until you sign our bond conditions.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, please. Yes, sir.
Judge, this is Mr. Christopher Martinez. I was appointed to represent him on his first case for terroristic threat. It looks like he's picked up another case, Judge.
Really?
Yes. That's all. Family member.
Now stand charged with assault of a family member. You are facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We are going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you, sir.
Yes, Judge. The complainant and the defendant are in a dating relationship, and on January 25th, 2025, the officer was dispatched to an assault. Upon arrival, the officer met with the complainant, who stated that he and the defendant are dating and that they had recently gotten into an argument earlier that day. The complainant stated that he had thrown some nicotine cartridges on the floor and that the defendant and him got into a physical altercation but separated. The complainant then made food and brought the defendant a plate of food, but the defendant used it to strike the complainant in the face, causing a laceration above his eye. The complainant then stated that he began to fight back.
Same complaining witness in the terroristic threat?
No, sir, Your Honor, it's not.
No, Your Honor. It does appear that the complaining witness in the recent assault was a witness to the previous terroristic threat, but I'm still not sure of the involvement so far.
Mr. Martinez, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case. I'm ordering you as a condition of your bond not to have any contact with the complaining witness in this case and not to be in possession of weapons. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
I ask you one thing. I ask you not to pick up any new cases. You have done, because you have done this now, I'm going to revoke your bond on your first case, and I'm going to put you in jail right now. Goes with you, officer.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. D. 5,001. Yeah. And tell me, did he get a PR bond on that small case?
Doing. I have two clients I would like to approach regarding bail.
Okay.
First one is Guadalupe. He has a terroristic threat. We're asking that bond be reduced. He does not have any other prior violent history.
Why is he still in? Why did he not get a PR bond? There's gotta be a reason. Hold on, let's find out.
Okay.
Let me read to you what the match sheet said, so we're on the same page, because I had no idea. It says, violent threats against his ex-wife, threatened to hit her with a walking cane. Let me bring him out. They didn't even give him a PR bond?
No,
They gave him no chance.
no, this is the only guy has pending. You do a PR bond.
But I want to talk to him first,
Okay,
just to admonish him.
okay.
Who's your second guy?
My second client is Ellis, last name Ellis, first name Bakori. His bond is currently set at $20,000 for this case. Last name Ellis.
Ellis.
Mhm.
I didn't know his name. Let me read this to you. So what I'm reading to you is why the magistrate decided to do what they did as far as not giving a PR bond, making the bond as high as they did.
Okay,
A lot of times they will have more information that we have here
okay,
because they'll do a group search like an NCIC or whatnot to see all criminal history. So, and this one's long. It says, defendant on a 3-year deferred for a state jail felony since 3/21/24, stole CBD disposables. This case, witness called to report a man dancing around and waving a firearm in the air at 5900 Long Drive. Law enforcement officers arrived, saw defendant matching the description sitting at a bus stop at location, saw butt off gun sticking out of his pocket. Leo told defendant to put his hands up. Defendant instead reached for his gun. Leo struggled with the defendant as he continued to reach for his firearm. Holy moly. Finally got him cuffed and approximately 6mm, then recovered a loaded .45 pistol from his pocket. One Leo injured during the struggle, pushed against the wall of a bus stop, sustained minor abrasions. Witnessed identified defendant as the person she saw dancing, rapping, pulling out black pistol from his pants and waving it around multiple times. Not obeying NFC of deferred public safety concerns, indigent per AFC. That's why they did with the struggle, and he's lucky he's shot.
there's no body cam footage, so it's not a alleged struggle. I would like,
Let's bring him out both and we'll talk to him.
okay.
You speak English, sir?
Yes, sir.
Good morning, gentlemen. How's jail?
Ain't fine.
Good. It's not supposed to be fun.
I'm disappointed. I wasn't even supposed to be there.
Let's talk. We'll figure out why. All right. Both of you guys have picked up criminal cases. You've not made bond, and you don't have anyone that's going to make a bond for you. That's why you're in there right now. your lawyer is asking for me to give you either a PR bond or to lower your bond. And we're gonna have a discussion now as to whether that's gonna happen or not. I'm a firm believer that everybody should be given at least one chance to see whether they're gonna do right or not, right? So hold on, just don't say anything yet. You'll get your chance, I promise. Mr. Guerrero, let's start with you. So you're charged with terroristic threat. You're facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you, sir.
Yes, Judge. On January 27, 2025, at 8:11 a.m., the officers arrived on the scene for a weapons disturbance at a residence in Harris County, Texas. The officers met with the complainant and a witness outside the residence and later met with the defendant inside the residence. The complainant stated the defendant, the ex-husband, lives with her at the house since last year. The complainant stated the defendant has threatened her numerous times and she was scared of what the defendant would do if she called the police. And on November 3rd, 2024, the defendant texted the complainant, I didn't put I'm fucking you up when you come back, bitch, but never assaulted the complainant. And in the middle of December 2024, the complainant was on the phone talking with a friend when the defendant approached the complainant from behind and tried to take her phone and shouted, asking who she was on the phone with. The defendant failed to get the phone away from the complainant. The complainant ran out of the residence out of fear. Around Christmas 2024 at approximately 7 to 8 p.m., the complainant and the defendant were arguing about the complainant's boyfriend having a key to her vehicle. The complainant and the defendant went to go get the keys and the defendant stated, I'm going to kill him. The complainant was in fear and the complainant's boyfriend did not want police called. On January 26, 2025, the defendant came out of his room and the complainant's jacket on the chair where the defendant's cane normally rests, and the defendant saw his cane laying on the floor, and the defendant accused the complainant of placing it there. The defendant followed the complainant into the kitchen and was close to her face. The defendant told her, you know I could hit you with this cane. I can hit you with this. Next time I will hit you. The defendant was waving the cane in her face as he said this, and the complainant was in fear of what the defendant may do to her. The defendant calmed down, so the complainant did not call the police. The complainant called the police the next morning because she wanted him out of the house. The witness, the son, corroborated the complainant's telling of events and stated the defendant said to the complainant, I could hit you if I want to, and was close to the complainant in the hallway and was waving the cane in the complainant's face.
Guerrero, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case. The magistrate here did not give you a PR bond. If I give you a PR bond, I want assurances that you're not going to have contact with the complaining witness in this case. You're not going to have.
Daughter, she's gonna take me somewhere else.
That's it. 95% of the people that are in jail now because they have no self-control. They get upset and they wig out and do whatever they, without thinking, if I do this, what's going to happen? If I say this, what's going to happen? Would you like me to give you a PR bond?
Yes, sir.
I don't want you to have contact with the complaining witness in
I
the
won't.
case, sir. I don't want you to have any weapons, and I want you to have self-control. I've given you a lawyer. It is your responsibility to stay in touch with her. I'm giving you a chance now.
Yes.
Don't pick up any new cases and don't disappoint us.
No, sir.
You understand?
Yes, sir, I understand.
Do you mind filing those conditions that he's not to have contact with this person?
No weapons, Your Honor, as well.
No weapons, no contact. I am also entering in what's called a magistrate's order for emergency protection. This is a court order that identifies Ms. Cortez as a protected individual. You cannot commit family violence or an assault against this person. Commit an act in furtherance of an offense under section 42.072 of the Texas Penal Code, which is the stalking statute. You cannot threaten, harass, use another person to communicate a threat or harassing behavior. You cannot be in possession of a weapon or go within 200 feet of where she lives or where she works. Do you understand?
Yes, sir, I understand.
If you have kids and they live with her, then use someone else. Don't call, don't go over there because you now know no one's going to bond you out. So if you end up going back to jail, you'll be stuck like Chuck.
Yes, sir.
You understand?
Yes, sir.
All right, man, I'm giving you a chance.
Okay.
Okay. So please, if you can still file those conditions, no contact, no weapons. Now, Mr. Ellis, your case is quite a bit more complicated. You were charged with unlawful carrying of a weapon. You were facing up to a year in jail and or a $4,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can or will be used against you.
Yes, Judge. On January 29th, 2025, at approximately 3:29 PM, the officer was dispatched to a weapons disturbance call at 5900 Long Drive in Harris County, Texas. The officers were given a description of the defendant and that he was dancing, waving a gun. The officer arrived at the location and saw the defendant matching the description at a bus stop. The officers observed the handgun sticking out of the defendant's front right pocket, and the officers told the defendant to put his hands up, and the defendant continuously refused orders from the officers to let go of the firearm. The officers used force and pulled the defendant's arms away, and the defendant continued to grip the firearm, attempting to pull it out of his pocket. The officer was hit by the defendant while pulling away, and the officer was thrown into a metal and glass wall at a bus stop. The officer sustained minor abrasions to his right arm, and the officer struggled with the defendant for approximately 6 minutes until detaining him. The officer spoke with a witness who stated she was walking to work and heard and saw the defendant dancing and rapping while waving around a firearm multiple times.
Mr. Ellis, let me read something to you. This is why the magistrate did not give you a PR bond in this case. Defendant on a 3-year deferred for a state jail felony since 3/21/24 allegedly stole CBD disposables. In this case, the witness called to report a man dancing around and waving a firearm in the air at the 5900 Long Drive in Houston, Texas. Law enforcement officers arrived, saw defendant matching the description as sitting at a bus stop, saw butt of gun sticking out of his pocket. Law enforcement officers told defendant to put his hands up. Defendant instead reached for his gun. Do you know how many people die from that very thing right there? Watch the news every single day in America. A young person dies just because of that very thing right there. Law enforcement officers struggled with the defendant as he continued to reach for the firearm, finally got him cuffed after approximately 6 minutes, then recovered a loaded .45 pistol from his pocket. One law enforcement officer injured during the struggle, pushed against the wall of the bus stop, sustained minor abrasions. Could have been another assault of a peace officer, which is a 3rd-degree felony, 2 to 10 in the penitentiary right there. Witness identified defendant as a person she saw dancing, rapping, pulling out a black pistol from his pants and waving it around multiple times, not obeying NFC of the deferred, the conditions of the deferred. Public safety concerns, indigent per AFC. This is the reason why you were not given a PR bond in this case. And quite frankly, Mr. Ellis, it scares me that if we let you out, what's going to happen? Sometimes we have to protect people from themselves because of their own worst enemy. Counsel, what would you like?
I would like to get his bond lowered. He is staying with his mother. His mother will be able to, keep an eye out on him and make sure that he does abide by the conditions that was previously set. I will give her a call today. He's looking for work and he has a child on the way. We're just asking for a lower bond.
What do you do with yourself these days, Mr. Ellis?
I'm just looking for a job so I could take care of my family because right now I'm with a whole 36-year-old and I'm 20 years old and I'm taking care of her kids, her and myself. And I'm staying with my mom and I'm in and out with my baby. So it's a whole lot of stuff going on. And then even dealing with that 3rd-degree felony.
Let's not, I don't want to talk about the cases. My concern is that, Mr. Ellis, you're a baby yourself and now you got a kid on the way. How many kids you got?
To be my first, because I lost my first son at the age of 15, stillborn.
You were 15 when you had your first kid?
I will make contact with his mother, Your Honor, before I leave today. She's present in his life. Yeah.
What's going on with the deferred upstairs? Have they done anything? Have they filed a motion to revoke?
Let me see. It does not appear that this time they filed a motion.
What do you guys think as far as a bond reduction? State.
Your Honor, based on the fact of the nature of him being a threat to the community and to the author themselves, which are considered under 1750, and we request 5,000 would be.
I'm requesting 2,500, Judge. He's out of work and the person that would make bond for him would be his mother. And
How long has he been on probation? He's been on probation for a year. Let me see how well he's done. He's already had one BVR. You know, when you're on felony probation, you're supposed to live like you have a halo above your head because you're really looking at a lot of time in prison. And the way things are going now, this is not a good way to go. You're going to end up either dead in prison. It's hard enough in this society as a black or brown person. All you're doing is making it more difficult. The older you get, the more difficult life gets. And if you don't have a skill, a trade, knowledge, you're going to end up with a 40-year sentence or in a gutter, begging, because life sucks without money. And what you're doing now, all you're doing is you're making life even just the more difficult as it is. The more convictions you get, the more unemployable you get. If you don't believe me, when you go back there in the pods, ask. All the old timers that are in there, ask. You're 20. Don't squander your opportunity. I'll give you a bond reduction. I'll set it to 10,000 now.
okay,
I'd like to have contact with mom. So
okay,
somehow if you can like arrange so we can figure out how we can get through to Mr. Ellis.
yes,
So what we can do to, I'm not opposed to a PR bond,
Okay.
but I want to know that somehow we have some kind of structure in place so that we know.
okay, Judge. I will call her today. How would you like me to get back in contact?
I'm assuming he might go to felony court Monday. We can roll it to Monday
Okay,
and then just stay in the loop with me and then
Will do.
we'll structure things so that we can try to get him on the up and up.
okay. Thank you, Judge.
I'm not going to let you die here. I'm not going to let you squander this opportunity. I will stay on top of this until we get you going well, because the way that you're going now, it sucks. It's not good. You're not to use any weed. You're not to use any alcohol. And I'm going to stay on top to make sure. I'm giving you a curfew. I'm going to do all these conditions to make sure you're not going to end up another statistic. Do you understand? So we're going to roll your case to Monday because I want to see if we can get your mom involved in this, see where we can go. Okay? All right.
Thank you, Judge.
Thanks.
The PR bonds.
No, yeah, PR bond on Guerrero and then 10G on Mr. Ellis. Mac has wants to do a new case, PC. Mac, do you mind giving it to her? Thanks.
Page 13.
Yeah.
Morning,
Good morning,
Judge.
Mr. McCardle. Sir, you're charged with driving while intoxicated. You're facing up to 6 months in jail and or a $2,000 fine. We're going to do probable cause. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to have an attorney present. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to you.
Yes, Judge. On January 25th, 2025, the officer stopped the vehicle for failing to maintain a single lane of traffic at the 3300 block of NASA Parkway. The officer observed the vehicle failed to maintain a single marked lane multiple times, and the vehicle had no license plate. The officer initiated a traffic stop, and the officer made contact with the defendant, the driver of the vehicle. The officer observed a strong odor of an alcoholic beverage, slow, delayed speech, and the defendant was asked to exit the vehicle, and the officer performed center field sobriety tests. HGN 6 out of 6. And then the defendant was then transported back to the station to continue testing, where he refused any more testing. The DIC was read, and the defendant refused a breath test. A blood search warrant was signed and executed.
Mr. McCardle, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case. Any prior to BIs?
No priors, Your Honor, and I'm running his license right now.
Please. I am ordering you as a condition of your bond not to consume alcohol, illegal drugs, or unprescribed controlled medication. I'm going to randomly test you. If I find that you're consuming alcohol or illegal drugs, I'm going to revoke your bond. I will put you in jail. No more PR bonds. You
Sorry.
understand?
It's eligible, Your Honor.
As long as you have a valid Texas driver license and liability insurance, you may continue to drive. If you do not have either, then you're not allowed to drive. You've got a great lawyer. Listen to her. She'll take care of you. Because you have her representing you, I will waive your appearance so you don't have to waste your time coming to court. But you must stay in touch with her. If she tells you she can't get a hold of you, you pick up a new case. You've seen what happens, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, no, that was.
I'm not asking for much. I just want my community to say. That's all. I'll have you sign a receipt with Victoria. You'll get with Fatima for your bond conditions, and then you guys are free to go.